Hey fam, this is Kevin with Melanin Man Travels. So I rarely discuss politics on my channel, if at all. But spending some time recently in the United States has me feeling some kind of way. So I just felt moved to kind of share what's on my mind and what we are up against as a society coming this November. I want to talk slightly about Project 2025 and some of its impacts. Unfortunately, we have heard the Republican nominee deny any knowledge or connection with Project 2025, but we know that he is lying as he usually does. If you do a quick search on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or any of them, you can find a breakdown of what the United States will have in store or what Project 2025 will have in store for the United States and what could possibly become the rule of the land. So I've taken some notes and I'm just going to kind of share some of the highlights and um, hopefully give you some information of what we need to truly address and deal with for the coming next 4 years and beyond. So, under this plan, the Republicans and 45 and the like, they have a plan to dismantle the Department of Education, which just the thought of that on a federal level is a little ridiculous. Um, in addition to that, they plan to eliminate the SNAP benefits or the food stamp benefits for needy families. They plan to cut Social Security and Medicare for seniors, and they plan to reverse the effects of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Now, I want to talk about those three amendments to the Constitution because it's not outlined specifically that way, but we know based on the things that we are seeing in our society and the things that are impacting Black people that that is, if not a direct plan, an indirect plan. So let's talk about the amendments. So the 13th Amendment eliminated slavery, made it illegal in the United States. However, we know as Black people that we've been waiting on reparations and an acknowledgement of the atrocities of the U.S. government and U.S. citizens against stolen Africans for over 400 years. And that has not happened. We have not been compensated for our free labor. Um, and then beyond that, the effects are the school to prison pipeline that has continued to negatively impact our community. And that pipeline is still keeping some of our Black citizens in a form of slavery. If you were to do any research on the prison industrial complex and how it's created and it's linked to law enforcement in the United States and that connection to slavery, then you'd see why I bring that up. But anyway, that's your research to do. The 14th Amendment gave Black people the right to be citizens in America. And yes, I am a U.S. citizen, and you probably are a U.S. citizen as well. However, the current climate that we're in, we are bombarded with this racial rhetoric, if you will. We have these attacks on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, attacks on affirmative action, the misrepresentation, the complete misrepresentation of the critical race theory. And it's become a hot button for those on the right, again, to misuse the term or the concept of the theory, because it has nothing to do with the talking points that you will hear from them and people on Fox News. Um, and then let's not forget the continued murder of black people in our country with impunity. None of these things to me reflect um, me being a citizen or me having equal rights as a citizen, or even being viewed not only as a human, but as a U.S. citizen. Then let's look at the 15th Amendment. That amendment gave black people the right to vote. And we all need to exercise that right while we have it this November. With years that we've been dealing with voter suppression and the attack on women's health rights, those are clear indicators to me that the right to vote for black people or any other minority is, let's just say, possibly on the chopping block in the near future. And that scares me. So it's my hope and my prayer that we not only vote in November, but that we will head to the polls with a clear understanding of what's at stake for our nation, our democracy, and our future. Now, I know some of us, not all of us, but some, are not as concerned about the whole of black folks and our greater society. It's unfortunate, but that's a whole nother conversation. So let me speak to the 45 gave us a stimmy check crowd, which 45 did not give us a stimmy check. He just sent a piece of paper with his worthless signature along with the check after it was already approved. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation as well. But to that group, let me share how Project 2025 and this new tax plan that they are considering will affect your coins. So currently, we have 7 tax brackets, which range from 10% to 37%, which I know can be confusing. The IRS code is extremely lengthy, and it is not created for the average reader to understand, nor is the tax code really created for the average worker to benefit from. But again, another conversation. In a nutshell, let's say if you are in the 25% tax bracket, or the 28, or even the highest, the 37% tax bracket, all of your income is not taxed at that level. Again, even if you're at the highest at 37%, all of your whatever it is, $5 million that you earned in that particular year is not taxed at 37%. Portions of our income are taxed at each of the levels, and we climb in tax bracket as we earn more income. So we all are taxed at 10, a portion at 12, and on and on and on. Now, I'm sure someone else has done a detailed video on the U.S. tax system and how we're taxed and what tax brackets are and how they work. So do your search, your own research rather. Go out there, find out what's available for you to learn and fully understand that. But I do want to share something important. So instead of continuing with our current tax system, Project 2025, 45, and all those folks are proposing a 2-tiered flat tax system. So a 2-tiered flat tax system. So basically, they're looking at taxing us at either 15% or 30%. So for those who earn $168,000 a year or less, will be taxed at a flat rate of 15%. And then the rest who earn above that amount will be taxed at 30%. Now, stay with me because this flat 15% may sound good, but it is not. So, most importantly, according to Project 2025, the proposed flat tax program, if you will eliminate most deductions. Actually, it could be all deductions because they have purposely not indicated what will be eliminated and how that will impact. But let's just say, and I believe more than most likely, it will be the standard deduction that will be eliminated. So let's just go with that. So I want to give you two examples. One, what your wallet looks like today, and what it will probably look like if we get under 45 and Project 2025's tax plan. So here's an example. Under our current tax plan, let's say you earned $72,000 last year. That would place you in the 22% tax bracket. Now, 22% sounds a lot higher than 15%, right? Maybe not, because that's not actually how our tax system works. Again, like I shared, it is broken down into brackets. So your total income for the year is not taxed at the 22% level. Actually, of $72,000, only $24,850 of that total is taxed at the 22%. The rest, actually the majority of it, which is about $47,150, that is taxed at lower rates. And the majority of that 47 plus is taxed at 12% and lower. This is all public knowledge. You can find it on the IRS website or do any kind of search on the internet because you'll be able to find this information. So again, here's what you'll have to pay under our current system or under Project 2025's flat two-tier tax rate. So first example, $72,000 under our current system with its multiple tax brackets. Again, I know they're confusing, but when you apply the total 72,000 within the system, you get an effective tax rate or an actual tax rate. And for someone earning $72,000, that actual tax rate will only equal 10.7%, not 22%, and definitely not the 15% at a flat rate. So on $72,000, you would actually owe about $7,700 in federal taxes. Now, let's look at the plan that 45 is distancing himself from and that Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation is promoting. With a flat 15% tax rate, again, for people who make less than $168,000, so in our example of $72,000, you would be taxed at the 15% flat tax rate. Again, you're only going to pay 15%, or so they say. On $72,000, that's going to equal $10,800. You're looking at $3,100 more under this flat tax rate that sounds better than our current system. And again, a person being in the quote unquote 22% tax bracket versus having to pay a 15% flat tax, you're going to pay more. So please, y'all, don't get lost in the sauce. It is the slowly deteriorating middle class, hardworking people who are going to suffer the most under this plan. And if you allow that administration to get back in the White House, the Republicans, 45, the Heritage Foundation, the creators of this Project 2025 plan, mean you no good. Please do your own research. There are many, many other platforms out there that will share these details. And they're going to share a lot more of the problems that we'll face again if we let that administration back in the White House. So we don't want 45 to now become dictator 47. Please, please do yourself a favor, do your part. Please vote correctly in November. Please save our democracy, save your future, save the future of our children. We need to be diligent and do the right thing for our future. So again, this is not typically what I talk about, but I think it is so important, and especially for those of us who live abroad or who plan to live abroad. Yes, there is some insulation because we're not living on American soil, but as American citizens, we are still attached to our country of origin, the political system there, the economic system there. So it is important for us to get out and vote our best interest. So until next time, hasta luego.